Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
Can we get serious now?
One thing that did happen during the 60s was some music of an unusual or experimental nature did get recorded and did get released. Now look at who the executives were in those companies at those times. Not hip young guys. These were cigar-chomping old guys who looked at the product that came and said, I don't know. Who knows what it is? Record it, stick it out. If it sells, all right. We were better off with those guys than we are now with the supposedly hip young executives who are making the decisions of what people should see and hear in the marketplace.
Success in the music business begins with a dream, a vision. This podcast will give you, the listener, the insight and tools to turn that vision into a reality. Meet the industry professionals who work day by day behind the scenes, helping to make those dreams come true. Welcome to the business side of music.
On the show with us today, he's normally out of Los Angeles, but this week he's in Austin, Texas for South by Southwest. August Pog Mota, who is the Director of Customer Loyalty for 10th Stree Entertainment, is joining us on the show. They're the management firm behind such acts as Motley Crue, Five Finger Death Punch, Papa Roach, Hollywood Undead, and Ice Nine Kills, just to name a few. Welcome to the show.
Hello, Bob. Thank you so much for having me.
When I read your bio of what it is that you do with the company, what you do with 10th Stree Entertainment, for a moment, I almost thought that you could have very well fit into the role of manager of artist development with a record label. The director of customer loyalty, that's really something I've never heard about. I guess you could also say it's the director of fan loyalty. Why don't you talk a little bit about what it is that your job does and how that coincides with the management company?
Yeah. So just a little bit of background. I did start out at 10th Stree as a management coordinator. So fortunately, that role prepared me for what I do now as a director of fan loyalty. So basically, it's my responsibility to oversee the development, maintenance, and growth of fan loyalty programs for our artists. This includes, but it's not limited to, fan clubs, e-commerce-based fan loyalty programs. So I work a lot with marketing and figure out, how do I deliver to the top 1% fans of our artists what they really, really want? And how do I turn that into profit for the artist?
That definition, I guess, would be the super fan that a lot of artists have, but don't necessarily realize or understand who those people are. Am I right?
100%. So the first part of my job is to identify the super fans for these artists. And in essence, my train of thought has always been, if I can get 1,000 of the top fans to spend $100 on this artist for a year, it's $100,000 just from 1,000 fans. So I care more about cultivating the relationships between existing fans and having that relationship grow.
How do you go about finding who those fans are? Because that's obviously something you just can't pull out of space. That's really, I would think, some proprietary information that the artist and, of course, the management company would want to know.
Yeah, so we are a very data-driven department for fan loyalty. This whole thing started because my boss came to me and said, hey, if Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok go down overnight, how are we going to reach our fans? And we started asking ourselves, why are we paying these huge companies to reach fans who are liking and following us on these social platforms? It doesn't make a lot of sense. So if we had our own platform, a central hub where we could have all the data that are harvest data from our fans, we can utilize it in a way that's not, for lack of a better term, predatory as some other corporations that sell data to third parties. So part of it is figuring out all of your data points. It depends on what artist you work with. For the artists that I would say is our standard as far as fan loyalty, has the craziest fans, Ice Nine Kills. I use a couple of different programs to run data points from the newsletter, the e-commerce store, the fan club under one hub.
When we talk about the social media platforms, and you mentioned a few, such as Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, really one of the things, and I've had this conversation with some guests that we've had on the show in the past. You really are, from that perspective, you're just renting space. You don't own it. You're right. If it goes down, you really are at a loss. You know, my goodness, I had 10,000 followers and now they're all gone. How do you prevent that from happening in the beginning? How do you build that separate base? How do you build that separate database that you guys are doing now? Do you create a website for the artists? Is this something that is done through the domain of the management company? How does that come about?
Yeah, there's a couple of different methods depending on the artist. If it's a young artist that's just starting out, I love working with that kind of artist because from the start of their career, you can train them on what they're supposed to be doing to build these super fan bases. First and foremost, data collection. If it takes you giving away a signed snare drum at once a month for a year, just post that on your social media. Hey, all I need is your email, first name, zip code, something simple, and you're going to be entered for a chance to win the signed snare head. If you're constantly building your data points, you're going to be able to maximize your existing fans and turn them all the way from a casual fan who maybe they heard you on the radio to an engaged fan. Now they're following you on Instagram or whatever site to feeling connected with you. That's when, if you are able to capture their data, let's say that they make a purchase from you on the merch store. I set up an automated program because I have their first name. You'll get an email from me. After you get your receipt from your purchase, you'll get an email saying, "Dear Bob, thank you so much for purchasing merch from us. This is one of the best ways you can support us. There's not a lot of money in streaming right now. Your rule, here's 15% off your next purchase."
You brought up a valid conversation, and that is we are all looking at streaming as almost a loss leader when it comes to the participation of an artist. They're not making money off of that. The owner of that song is not making money off of streaming. So such a novel concept is, giving away a signed autographed drumhead once a month or something along those lines. Do you find that those really hardcore super fans, they're looking for that? Because it's obviously an interesting piece that you would hang on your wall, which is that drumhead. Is that something that they seem to want to engage in and try and get?
Yes. Typically, different fan bases have different things that they prioritize in terms of what you can offer them to super serve them. It ranges a lot, but signed memorabilia is very popular. I would say a couple of things that get fans a little more excited to either give you their data or become a paying member to a fan club that gives you access to these perks is experiences with the artist, whether it's they win a VIP upgrade to one of the shows or they win one of my artists. Again, Einstein Kills. Every February for the past 3 years, he's let me give away a virtual Zoom date where one fan gets to get on Zoom with them for 15 minutes. We send flowers on behalf of the artist to them on Valentine's Day. So those experiences are what create lifelong fans. Even if they're already super fans, they're going to now have a connection. They're going to support this artist for the rest of their lives, whether they put out music maybe they don't care too much for, but the connection is there now.
Let's jump for a moment to the management company as a whole, which is 10th Stree Entertainment. This really isn't the traditional or typical business model of a management firm, is it?
Correct. We do a lot more than just artist management.
What are some of those things that the company does?
What I really admire about 10th Stree is our focus, not just on the management aspect of the business, but marketing. We have specialized departments for different areas. We have a touring department that just deals with logistics, figuring out the deals, making sure our artists have tours lined up, getting the best offers. We have a tour marketing department that works with all of the promoters and partners to make sure that people are coming to these shows. We're selling tickets. A lot of the artist managers have basically double specialties. Ian, one of my favorite managers there, he knows a lot about e-commerce. He came from that world. So we're a small company. I would say 10th Stree, 15 to 20 employees, but everyone specializes in something apart from artist management, including the managers. So there's a lot of knowledge in different areas that we can help out our artists with. And recently, my department was just created, which is the fan loyalty department.
the artists that we describe, and there's obviously some legacy names that we read off, do they comprehend what it is that your company does? Does this have to be explained to them? Because basically, there's kind of the old school mind concept that, well, here's the manager, manage my career. Your company's digging into a lot of different areas and directions that normally wouldn't be covered under that management umbrella. Is this something that you have to explain to the artists for them to understand?
I think it definitely helps. For our existing artists, they know pretty well how it works. They're familiar with all of our departments and who works in them. We always, across the company, do a good job of keeping a good relationship with artists. For new artists that we're trying to entice to sign over with us, it's definitely something that helps us in our pitch. Like, hey, we're not just here to coordinate your schedule, go through your emails, get you this deal signed. We're here to get you the best possible tour offers, set you up with the fan club that creates an extra revenue source, make sure your e-commerce program is firing off on all cylinders. So it helps a lot, in my opinion, and gives us flexibility to work with a lot of artists.
On the show with us today, all the way from Austin, Texas, as he attends South by Southwest, the Director of Customer Loyalty with 10th Stree Entertainment, August Pog Mota.
How are you? This is Freddie Salem of The Outlaws, and you're listening to the business side of music.
You're listening to the business side of music.
As a musician, you have a dream, that vision of what success looks like for you. Though it's not only about the money, money is part of it. Whether you've been extremely successful or you're just striving to maintain a regular cash flow, you need a plan. Money Concepts can help you develop a customized plan to achieve the financial stability and success you want. For over 40 years, Money Concepts has been providing holistic financial planning services to individuals, families, and business owners. As an independent firm, Money Concepts and their associates are committed to always represent the best interest of the client. It's really about a committed, benevolent interest in them personally. This independence, coupled with that committed, benevolent interest, means they represent you, the client, not a product supplier. It's not about selling products, it's about helping you achieve success. To learn how this can benefit you, contact my buddy, John Adams, with Money Concepts at 737-867-9309. That's 737-867-9309. You can also email John at jadams@moneyconcepts.com.
Hey, this is Jack Sharkey, host of Between the Notes. Take a break from all the turmoil in the world and join us each week as we explore the magic, mystery, and beauty of music. Between the Notes, a podcast dedicated to everything music, available everywhere you get your podcasts.
You're listening to the business side of music.
Back on the show, August Pog Mota is joining us from Austin, Texas today. Normally out of Los Angeles, he's attending South by Southwest. Your company's role at South by Southwest is what? Fill in that blank.
I am out here for a mentorship program, but my company's role right now is to get a little more embedded in the music tech sphere as we try to diversify the way that we create fan clubs and fan loyalty programs for our artists. There's a lot of emerging technology, so I am here to learn and figure out how to optimize these programs for our artists.
When we talk about fan club and fan club loyalty, now obviously I'm based out of Nashville, Tennessee. The show's based out of Nashville, Tennessee. Fan clubs have really kind of been the norm. It's been the common denominator for decades upon decades here, especially with the country music scene. I've noticed, however, that in the rock world, more so than maybe any of the others, that untapped resource of a fan club for an artist is really something that hasn't been utilized 100% in the past. Are you finding artists that come on board and sign with your company that maybe don't have a fan club in place?
Yes, I would say the majority of them. A lot of the fan clubs I started are the first fan clubs some of these artists have had with us. So I thought it was interesting when we started talking and you were talking about, this sounds like the record label artist development kind of position. And it is in the sense that we have to like, hey guys, you have been a band for 20 years. You have these crazy fans who are willing to give you thousands upon thousands of dollars. How do we reduce the friction between the two and make it to where, it's not some predatory marketing scheme?
Yeah, I mean, and that's one of the big things that I think with a lot of artists is they don't realize that fan base, whether they are card-carrying fan club members or they're just loyal fans, that really becomes an untapped resource for the artist when it comes to a revenue stream.
Yeah, correct. So, United States is very into monthly subscriptions. So when my boss came to me when the pandemic happened, he said, hey, we don't have any touring right now. There's not a lot that we can do. We're probably not going to put music out. We need to figure out how to create a new revenue source. So that's when we started building an app-based fan club for the band 99 Kills. We launched it and we offer $7 monthly subscriptions or for a year, $70 annual subscriptions, which has turned into a new revenue stream on top of touring, music consumption, and e-commerce.
When you talk about that monthly or annual fan club subscription, what does that get them? Well, you obviously know what it gets the artist.
Yeah.
It creates a revenue stream, but what does that get the fan?
So as a fan, if you download the app, just from the start as a free user, you have access to a community forum. So it's its own social media where you can follow other fans, post photos, post videos. If you become a paid member, we give you access to a few premium perks, as we call them. I would say in order of what entices the fans the most. The biggest one, early access to tickets when the band is on tour, giving them the artist pre-sale, early access to VIP upgrades. The second thing is definitely the experiences. I always set up giveaways once a month. I'll get, if it's just merchandise that we have left over from some album cycle a while ago that's in the warehouse, some fan probably has a really big nostalgia factor to it and really wants that. Giveaways are really important. Discounts on merchandise. Anytime there's a merch drop, hey, thank you so much for being a premium member. Here's 15%, and so on. It's more of a case by case with the artist. Some fans want different things. Some of them want experiences. Some of them just want signed items. Some of them just want to have early access to music videos, which is, I think, pretty cool. We work with the record labels and get early access to music and music videos when we can.
The world of the artist, obviously, there's a big separation from the established artist, that legacy artist that has been out there for years, if not decades, and the new artist, the brand new one that's just getting started. They may or may not have a record deal at this point. What you've created there, that sort of that working template for that artist, does that translate into could that also be used for the new upcoming artist, or is it a different kind of field of tools that you need to create, if that makes sense to you?
Yeah, it's a very similar process. You just kind of take out the paid membership aspect for the younger artists. You don't offer paid memberships unless you have a massive following that you can convert. If you have 500,000 followers on Instagram, if you set up your own fan club, you're probably going to convert 2 to 5%, not a really big number of them, just to download the app. From there, maybe 1% will become premium members. So there definitely has to be a certain level where an artist has to be if you're going to offer memberships. If you're starting out, data collection, giveaways, experiences, running everything through the newsletter I found for the young artists works really well. Still doing those perks like the early access to music and music videos, but just delivering them to someone who's signed up on your newsletter, because we're not starting a fan club just yet for them. Maybe we'll have a Discord server where the fans can hang out, but fan loyalty translates a lot into e-commerce. So if you have your program in place where you're starting out, hey, we're giving away this, just sign up for your email, first name and whatever, and you're entered to win. Now that you have that data, if you have their date of birth, they're going to get the happy birthday email. Here's $10 off your next purchase. So it's figuring out what the best approach is for the artist, depending on their size.
The new artist that comes on board, you would hope that they have established a database of sorts, an email list. But if they haven't, how do you get that started for them?
There's a program that I really like to use for email marketing called Klaviyo. So typically that's what I'll set my artists up on. It integrates with a lot of different apps and it acts as a central data hub. But essentially the first thing we talked about, experiences. With this new artist we have, Solence, just put out an album. We kicked off a newsletter a few months prior to that. And then as we got closer to the album release, we just kept dropping, hey, if you want to unlock the song before everyone else, join our newsletter. Hey, the album's out. If you want to win the signed vinyl, go join our newsletter. Hey, now that the album is out, either go follow us on Spotify, take one of these actions, and you're going to be able to join our album listening party.
With an artist that is now back out on the road touring, obviously the dynamics have changed from, say, 3 years ago when we were full-blown pandemic and nobody was going anywhere doing anything. With the artist now on the road, are you still able to create and build that fan club database from the merch table at the shows?
Yes. The old school method was having that paper printed where people just write their name and they write an email address and you hope they're telling the truth.
I hope you can read it. You hope that it's legible.
That's a big one. Nowadays, something that we like to do is QR code scans for signups. It's really fun trying to figure out, all right, how do we capture data on the show? We used to manage an artist that was doing an amphitheater tour, headlining an amphitheater tour. So they had video walls for the entirety of the tour. So we set up QR codes for people to sign up to their email. And we also put out a phone number for people to text join to this number and you're going to join our SMS text marketing. So we would put that up on each video wall, each tour date, and we would say, hey, you're going to win, text us, join, or scan this QR code and join the newsletter for a chance to win this goodie bag full of mystery merch. Each night we were getting amphitheaters. So they were selling like anywhere from 15,000 to 20,000 tickets. We were getting from 800 to 2,000 signups each day of the tour, just because people were like, oh, mystery merch pack, that sounds cool. All I have to do is text this number. Let's do it. So if anything, luckily technology has evolved to where it's much easier to collect data now at shows.
On the show with us today, August Pog Mota, who is the Director of Customer Loyalty with 10th Street Entertainment.
This is Al Bowman from Nashville Public Relations Group, NashvillePRG.com. You're listening to The Business Side of Music.
You're listening to The Business Side of Music.
Whether you consider yourself a musician or not, music is all around us, and it affects our everyday lives, whether it's background music influencing our shopping habits in a store, organ music adding the vibe to a baseball game, or a playlist convincing us to keep going on that last mile of a run. I'm Mindy Peterson, host of the podcast Enhance Life with Music, where we take a holistic look at music's benefits through the lens of science and medicine, entertainment, and business. You can find me and Enhance Life with Music at mpetersonmusic.com/podcast or wherever you get your audio.
When you have a Korg synth at your fingertips, the possibilities are endless. Be it digital, analog modeling, altered FM, wave sequencing, or the multi-engine synth, Korg gives you easy access to a variety of features to help you get the perfect sounds quickly. Whether you're a professional musician or just starting out, Korg truly has a synthesizer to help you express yourself. Visit Korg.com or your favorite Korg dealer to get your hands on one of their products to create new music always. Korg, the official sponsor of the Business Side of Music.
You're listening to The Business Side of Music.
Back in the studio, August Pog Mota, who is the Director of Customer Loyalty, who's at South by Southwest this week in Austin, Texas. 10th Street Entertainment, as I said in the beginning, is a little bit of a different management company per se. What do you see as the future with regards to such management companies in relationships to the artists? You have really given us a wealth of information of what that artist does with their fans, their super fans, and how to build that database. What do you see as the future for such companies as yours, especially while you're at South by Southwest?
I see us moving a little more to the technology field and becoming a music tech hybrid sort of company. I think by creating this department of fan loyalty, my boss is showing that he's willing to invest in the future. This was during the pandemic. And, when we started this venture, neither of us knew exactly how it was going to turn out, what we were doing. However, he knew, hey, Nowadays, artists can record themselves for like under $200. Just go buy a cheap DAW, download it. You can pirate it if you want, buy a $100 guitar, hook it up. Now you can upload and distribute your music across the world without the help of anyone for $20 a year. So as technology evolves, artists can do more and more and more by themselves. With emerging platforms like TikTok, they're creating their own content and they're essentially marketing themselves very well. So these are services that management companies offer. So where does that lead us? He came to me with the idea of doing this fan club venture that not just creates a new revenue source, but also enhances. When you turn a fan, an engaged fan, into a super fan, they're not just going to be more active with you on whatever platform you have. They're going to spend more money on merch. They're going to buy the VIP upgrade and the best seats when you go on tour. They're going to download your music, support it, and more importantly, they're going to go advocate on your behalf and tell all of their friends about what an amazing artist they love and how they should love it too. So by creating these kind of fan club loyalty programs, we're creating a future-proof business, in my opinion. And that's where our company's going, where we're going to get much more involved in tech, and we want to stay one step ahead of everything. If artists figure out how to, even in record labels right now, I would say the very last gatekeepers are kind of like the radio departments. There's so much that you can do without a record label. So we want to really figure out this music tech hybrid place where we can create super fan programs. So artists come to us and they're like, hey, you do this better than everyone else. Like, this is what we need. We can't replicate this.
Do you feel like the unsigned independent artist has as much of an opportunity for success as, say, the signed artist with a label these days?
100%. I think they have as much of a shot as a band who may have 5 number ones at radio. All it takes is that one moment, whether it happens on TikTok. Sure, that's kind of like the thing that you hope happens overnight, something like that. But my long-term goal for what I'm doing, I hope it's what it leads to, is if we're able to create a fan club and you're a starting artist and you have a community that you're truly nurturing, they truly care about you, even if it's 100 people. If these 100 people spend $100 on you a year, $10,000, you grow it over a year, you keep on making sure these fans are very well taken care of. You get to a place where you have 1,000 fans paying $100 for you. You don't need a record label at this point. You can just go pay for the recording studio yourself, hire a marketing company if you want. So I hope that this eventually leads to artists being able to be more independent so they can do whatever they want, write whatever music they want, and just be happy and don't have to worry about, oh, I hope the record label likes this. Oh, I hope the A&R doesn't send us back. Oh, I love this melody.
How can people find out more information about 10th Street Entertainment?
Check out our website, 10thstreet.com. We're also on all the social media platforms at 10th Street Entertainment, where we do a good job of posting what we're up to. And yeah, shoot us an email. We love to talk to other people.
Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Bob. It was a pleasure.
The Business Side of Music is the creation of Tom Sabella and Tracy Snow and is produced by Bob Bender. The Business Side of Music is recorded at Music Dog Studios in Nashville, Tennessee. Production sound design by Keith Stark. Voiceover and promo by Lisa Busan.